Welcome to our webinar. Thank you for being here. We are here to talk about how solidifying your brand will help you create better content. So let's get right to it. You may be here because you're wondering, is branding right for me? Or is this webinar even right for me? So a surefire way to find out is by taking our true-false brand quiz, also known as a pain point quiz. We're going to go through each point so you can determine how many of these pains are true for your company and how relevant this webinar is for you. We struggle to encapsulate everything we want to say into a concise story. Our value proposition isn't immediately understood. We aren't getting the responses or reactions we'd like from investors and our customers. We make subjective calls on how we look and sound, what we say, write, and design. We waste time and money recreating the wheel with every piece of content we create. If you answer true to any of these questions, branding is definitely the right choice for you. So stick around for 10 minutes to see how branding and content will impact how you connect with your audience. The bottom line is startups and small to medium-sized businesses create lots and lots of content across many channels, offline and online, every day. And in today's new normal, we live in a highly competitive landscape combined with short attention spans of everyone from our consumers to customers, users, business partners, investors, potential hires. And in this environment, all marketing starts with brand. And we're going to figure out why that is. So let's talk a little bit about what brand is. As there are over 22 million search results to this question, let's level set here. Brand is a singular idea with a unified look, tone, and feel to guide creative. Brand is not your logo, your company name, your tagline, or even your website. These are all individual, unique articulations of your brand. They should be influenced and directed by your brand, but they are not your brand. Brand is your mothership, your North Star. Some call it your essence. It is the sum of you. It is who you are, how you look, how you sound, and how you behave. Once this is unearthed, everything you do, say, write, design, and build should be influenced and directed by this understanding. There are some that say that brand is what others say and think about you when you're not in the room. And they're not wrong. But whatever they think about you is because you put it out there in words and tones and imagery that people respond to. And branding is just the process of developing a brand. A quick note, whether you are building a B2B brand or a B2C brand, the process is of equal importance. Whether selling to a consumer or selling to a business, there's always a human being involved who is impacted by what you say, how you look, sound, and behave. There's probably some out there that's saying, we're not a brand. We're just trying to get our business off the ground. We're too early for branding. Here's the thing. Every company is a brand, whether you've considered it or not. When you first put out your shingle and tell someone about your company, you are a brand. In fact, brands are a lot like people. Just like people, brands have personalities that transmit who they are to the world. If you're a friendly or a generous person, you probably say hello and open the door for people. Brands are the same. Two human individual personalities that we can recognize very easily. Princess Leia, rebellious, queenly. Amy Schumer, smart and funny. But for businesses, we feel a brand's personality through the content they create. Let's look at a few. You probably instinctively know this, but if you look at the content of these two brands, you'll see how their personality shines through. Converse, we've identified as youthful, edgy, and creative. BMW, intense, powerful, intelligent. In this example, there's a combination of both older and newer content from each company, but they still work because they consistently translate their brand personality, so we know who they are. As a startup, you have one driving goal: to connect with your audience, to raise money, or to make money. And to do that, you need to convey your core value across all this content you're creating in a super clear, compelling way. So how do you do that? We're going to give you 3 brand principles to remember when creating any content. Be meaningful, concise, and consistent. Let's talk a little bit about each of these. Meaningful. Your business has a purpose other than to make money. What's that purpose? What's your why? What's the root of why you exist and why you do what you do? Whatever it is, it has to mean something to you to mean something to your audience. Concise. Again, we live in a highly competitive, short attention span world. No company can afford to be long-winded or unclear. Your pitch, wherever and however it is communicated, whether verbally or in an email, must be immediately understandable. Think about how much time you're willing to give a product, an ad, a tweet before you move on. Everyone's the same, including your audience. Consistent. If you want your company to get stuck in someone's head like a song, you need to sing it over and over and over again. And just because you've heard it and seen it all before, most are seeing it for the first time. It's something you need to remember. Here are 3 brands that deliver on all 3 of these brand principles. Harry's, Warby Parker, Airbnb. We're all very familiar with them because they are constantly consistent. They do an amazing job on creating a cohesive brand experience. That's our goal for you. So where does branding come into play? When does it fit into your process? In this chart, your business is on the left side of the screen. You've identified a problem or an opportunity to solve for, have created a solution with a unique value proposition for a particular audience. But most startups jump from the left side of the screen to the right side of the screen, launching a business. Your content. This approach is the non-strategy strategy. As businesses, the way we tell the world who we are is through content. All this content. Our logo, our company name, our website, our social media, investor deck, executive summary. As you know, the list is endless. So getting your content right matters. Let's suppose you start creating a social media campaign or designing a website. How are you making decisions about what you want to say, how to say it, the imagery you'll use? Most startups just wing it, and the result is usually fragmented content that doesn't do what it needs to do to draw the interest of the audience they're trying to attract. So this is where branding comes in. It is the process to clearly define how you look, sound, and behave. So everything you create, your marketing content, your brand assets, and even your product itself stems from the same starting point. No guessing or making subjective calls. This criteria, defining how you look, sound, and behave, will be used to articulate your vision with all your creative resources. It will also provide the criteria with which to judge if they've delivered what you asked for. It's your North Star. It never moves. So now you should be starting to see how branding helps connect you with your audience and how it helps to create stronger content. And by how starting with a set of criteria, how you look, sound, and behave, you won't have the endless internal debates about personal subjective taste or redos because you didn't get back what you wanted from your creative resources, designers, writers, or developers. Here are 3 ROIs of startup branding and why it matters. Clarity. Branding will help you figure out the answers to these questions. What is my core value proposition? How do I encapsulate this value into a meaningful, concise, and consistent story? What are my personality and behavior traits? What is my tone of voice? How do I write and speak? What do I look like? What imagery do I use? What are my brand colors, my fonts, my graphics? Branding provides you with a strategic roadmap. Your brand directs everything you create and do, and it will be used to articulate your vision with all your creative resources and provide you with the criteria with which to judge if those resources have delivered what you had asked for. As a startup, we're always trying to save money, but oftentimes we're penny wise, pound foolish. To know if the ROI of branding is worth it for you, ask yourself the following questions. Have you wasted time and money debating with your team or yourself about what to say, how to look, how to write? Have you wasted time and money redoing content because you couldn't really figure out what it should be or how to get your resources to get you there? Have you launched inefficient, fragmented content that doesn't work together or communicate what you needed to? Add up the amount of time and money you've spent. Only you can determine if branding is worth it to you now. One last thing before we go. A few actionable next steps for you. If you're not ready for professional branding, stick to the brand principles we've outlined and use personality as your way in. A few next steps is you gather brands that feel like you. Are you curious like you Google, rebellious like Virgin, friendly like Dunkin'? Confirm the 3 to 4 personality traits that feel right for your brand. Then identify what personality would look like. Write some phrases inspired by other brands. Then identify what your personality would sound like. Write some phrases inspired by other brands. And lastly, evaluate your current brand and marketing content and whether or not it's delivering on these personalities that you've identified. We appreciate you stopping by. If you have any questions or concerns, please get in touch with us at drivethroughbranding.com. Thank you.